Cali X Boxing in its hump day. This is Wednesday, right? Yep. Wednesday, July 19th. We're halfway through July, man. This year's flying by. It's flying by. Life flies when you're having fun. I appreciate everybody who's been subbing to the channel, all the views. Last night, speaking of D-Style, we accidentally scheduled the podcast on both channels, and the podcast went over well because mine's pushing 500 views, his pushing 600 views, over 600 views. So we did over 1,100 views on last night's podcast combined. So, and it probably would have been more than that with the algorithm and likes pushing up the algorithm had we done it on the same channel. But stuff happens, mistakes happen. But yeah, on last night's podcast, D-Style went overboard with Oklahoma. There was a lot of Oklahoma hate. So on behalf of the HCP network, I want to apologize to the beautiful state of Oklahoma and all the beautiful Oklahomans. We have no problem with Oklahoma. Love Oklahoma. Boxing just not what Oklahoma's best known for. And you're putting Cambosos versus Maxie Hughes in Oklahoma. And we're just wondering why. We're just wondering why. I know we can't question the power brokers because they're geniuses. And we can't question geniuses because we're just minions sitting here. I've heard Steven Espinoza tell me this, so I have to believe it. You know, those guys barely get paid for their services, and they're just doing it out the goodness of their heart, barely making a profit, and we don't understand. And actually, it's our fault. It's actually our fault that we're not getting a lot of the fights we want because we bootleg them. And, you know, we can't expect great things if we're stealing fights. That's what I've been hearing. So I can't question the power brokers. I just can't, you know, I can't. But on behalf of HCP, I want to apologize for D-Style to the great state of Oklahoma. I love Oklahoma. Beautiful, you know, beautiful women, beautiful, great sports. You got great sports state there. And just beautiful. I've never been, but I've heard. What's up to Wheelchair Man John, Team Batman Boxing, Jesus M, Tyrese Blue, hype for Inoue to stop Fulton. I'm hyped for this fight as well, and we'll talk about the legacy behind this fight and a lot of things, and we're going to have to get through a lot of other things as well before we start to really talk about the fights, because I have a trained eye. I can spot narratives from a mile away. I can spot them from a mile away. And I see them developing already. I see them. I can spot them from a mile away. And we're going to hurt some feelings here today. It is what it is. That's what we got to do here, right? It's just, we need to be honest about things, why things are the way they are. And that's what we're going to do today. And we're going to hurt some feelings, and we're going to have fun in the process doing that. I'm not in the best mood, to be honest. I got a swollen gland, and was out in the heat a lot today, cutting grass and stuff. So I'm not in the best mood, and that'll reflect in this show. By the way, I'm breaking one of the man rules here. I'm drinking out of a straw. I've been told men cannot drink out of straws because it looks too close to doing something else. I saw that long list. It's like over 700 things that men can't do because they're not real men if they do those things. And I printed it out, wiped my ass with it because I do what I want. If I want to drink out of a straw, I'm going to drink out of a straw. And I'm going to drink out of a straw today. Yeah, I'm hyped too. Stillwater, Oklahoma, America's real capital. That's what I'm talking about. Beautiful. It's a beautiful state. I don't understand why D-Style's hating on it. It's a beautiful state. How much money will Fulton make? He's making a career high payday, so I've been told. I don't know the exact number, but we'll get that. Shame on Sean talking that nonsense about Inoue. Shame. Shout out my guy Bruce Gaz, who is Cambosos and Hughes. Good Lord. Midwest is fine. We're getting the Keyshawn fight back in Norfolk. Eventually, Keyshawn's in action. Robeisy Ramirez is in action this weekend. So we got some good fights. Was D-Style raised in the barn? Oklahoma isn't just a song. It's an entire musical. This is what I'm saying. And I tried to tell him last night. I think Oklahoma does have a song. And you're telling me they got an entire musical, not just a song. And this dude's out here just hating on Oklahoma. I don't get it. And I'm going to force him to apologize. I will. I'm going to force D-Style to apologize. Home of Chief J. Strong. What else is Oklahoma known for? It's known for great college football. Oklahoma Sooners is known for Oklahoma City Thunder. It's known for a lot of things, a lot of great things. Fulton controlling Inoue, Fulton for the win. We shall see. Tommy Morrison Ford in Oklahoma, but at least he was from Oklahoma. Australian against an UK fighter in Oklahoma does not make any sense. Yeah. Sure does hate. The boxing voice sure does hate Inoue. I wouldn't know, but I don't doubt it. Inoue is a former 3-division undisputed champion, but who cares? He hasn't fought a slick black fighter. The comment section is awake today. The chat is awake. We're coming out the gate like Inoue comes out the gate in a fight. Like the chat is on it so far. The chat is on it. Y'all woke up in that mood. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. We're just in that mood today. We're just in that. Yeah, he hasn't fought a slick black fighter. So, and he's arrogant and he doesn't know what random means. So everything is null and void. Matchroom has also done shows in Oklahoma. Yeah. That's a rule. I don't know what the rule is. Surprisingly, some of the best UFC fighters train in Oklahoma. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Oklahoma love. People took it personally what D-Style said about Oklahoma last night, and I'm not going to stand for it. I'm not going to stand for it. D-Style is going to have to come out and apologize to the great state of Oklahoma and their beautiful women and their great people. He's going to have to apologize for that. Not about boxing. And Fulton as a slick fighter. Tale of tape, styles make fights. Fulton going to surprise you guys. Possibly. I like Fulton. I think he's a great fighter. And he is slick. There's no doubt about that. And he's a great technical boxer. He is. I can't wait to laugh when Fulton has been smoked. So, yeah, it's a lot of back and forth here, and that's the makings of a great fight. I think Fulton is undervalued at plus 280. I do think he's undervalued there. But we're going to find out. Let me get through these comments, and then we're going to get to the meat and potatoes of this podcast. Yeah, I want to see Cambosos in the mix with guys too. Respect to Inoue and Fulton, home of Tommy Morrison. Oklahoma is the home of Tommy. It's the home of Tommy Gunn. It's the home of a great actor. And I stand by this. I've always said it. Rocky V is a good movie. It's much like in the Fast and Furious. The other Fast and Furious were so great that a good movie like Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift is a good movie. It's a good movie. It didn't have Vin Diesel in it. It didn't have the big character. It's a good movie, though. On its own, it's a good movie. You're just grading it against other Fast and Furious movies in the franchise. It's the same thing with Rocky. The other Rockies were so great that a good Rocky with the street fight at the end, you're like, no. Screw that movie. I'm just telling you, it's a good movie. And I'll die on that hill. Rocky V is a good movie. It's a good movie. Sorry. And Tommy Gunn did a good job in it. And home of casinos. There we go. So, legacy fight. Before I get into Inoue versus Fulton, pause. And what's great about that fight and the American media and American boxing fan bias towards fighters in their fights, foreign fighters, etc. And I'll back that up with facts and other things. Let's touch on a couple other topics because the WBC is all over the place. They're just all over the place. Haney has until Friday to decide if he wants to keep belts, keep the WBC, or is he going to fight the boogeyman, Shakur Stevenson? And we'll see what he ends up doing, right? And I think I've done a good job of explaining that Devin Haney is currently in a position with a lot of people to where if he goes here, it's wrong. If he goes here, it's wrong. No matter where he goes, he's going to be ducking somebody. Some people might not like to hear that, but that's just where it is. But all those options are good options to me. I just tend to think I pinpointed it down to two. I think there are two options that he's likely going to take. And that's, I can't make 135 anymore. Can't make it anymore. So I'm going to move up to 140 and we'll fight Regis Prograis. He looked vulnerable in his last fight. Let's go get that fight. Let's go do it. Or he can say, I'm gonna stay down at 135 for one more fight. Fight Vasily Lomachenko for just 2 or 3 of the belts. This won't be for all of the belts. We'll just fight for a couple belts. We'll do the rematch there if I stay at 135. That's a possibility as well. Either way, I think his run as undisputed at 135 is over. It looks that way. And I don't think Shakur Stevenson is going to be the fight. And some people may not like that. Some people might like it. Who knows? But Shakur, Lomachenko, any of those fights, Prograis, Teofimo, any of those fights are acceptable to me if he picks any one of those. And the good thing about that is the track record says he's going to pick one of those fights. But the WBC, this dude's out there in interviews saying Jermall Charlo can be, he is the eternal champion. He's the eternal champion. We gave him a Juneteenth belt. He's got the Juneteenth belt at home. He gets to keep that one forever, but there's another belt he gets to keep forever, and that's the real one. This dude is such a great fighter, Jermall Charlo, that he hasn't fought in 760 days, and he's still the champion. It's amazing. We're in a new era of boxing to where, it used to be hit and don't get hit. Get in there, don't get hit. Try to knock out a guy early to where you don't have to defend yourself. But the new era is just don't fight. Just don't fight. And you can keep your belt. Certain fighters anyway. And if you're going through a divorce, you got issues, personal issues, just keep your belt forever. Just keep it. Keep it. And as boxing fans, we have to be okay with that. Because if not, we're not empathetic. We're insensitive to the situation. And it's perfectly okay for a fighter to, as long as he has issues going on in his life, forget the issues of all the other guys down the rankings. If you're at the top and you got issues, just keep your belt. Keep it. 760 days, keep it. That's the greatest champion of all time. Jermall Charlo is officially the greatest champion of all time. I've just dictated that. He's the greatest champion of all time. Why? Because for 760 days, this guy hasn't taken a punch. He hasn't broken a sweat, and he's still got the championship belt. He's the greatest champion of all time. The greatest. Meanwhile, Devin Haney has until Friday to decide if he's going to fight Shakur Stevenson or he's stripped or he has to vacate. Why? Because WBC says so. That's why. That's why. I don't feel sorry for Devin Haney because as a boxing fan, I like seeing that. I like to see them keep things in motion. Get us some answers quickly. Let's get to some fights. All right, so is this guy going to fight this guy or not? If he's not, then take the belt from him. How about that? But at the same time, why are you doing that to that guy? And then this guy gets to keep his belt for 760 days because he's going through a divorce or whatever. And he gets to keep it open-ended. I watched a dude ask Suleiman, how long does this dude keep the belt? Like, what's the cutoff point? And he's like, there is no cutoff point. He just keeps it. And I'm watching this. I'm like, somebody sent me the clip. I'm like, he keeps it for however long he wants. That's how we're doing things. He keeps it. Yeah, he keeps the belt. It's open-ended. It's open-ended. All right. All right. He just keeps the belt. So Jermall Charlo is the greatest champion of all time because he keeps the championship without fighting. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Devin Haney has more cojones than Tank or Prograis. Yeah, I said it. And that's where I'm at with it. Nando, that's where I'm at with it. I don't want to hear anything from the Tank fans. Them dudes, they need to go sit in the corner. Just go. Go in the kiddie corner. Go at the kiddie table. Go at the kiddie table and just sit there and be quiet. Tank fans, eye to eye. Go at the kiddie table and just sit down and be quiet. Grown men are handling business. Your fighter is going to fight whoever he's waiting for Al to tell him what to do. Right? Devin went out and got the belts. He's got the belts. Some people might not like how he got them. he got him. Okay? So Devin's got the belts. Lomachenko fought for the belts. Lomachenko has done a lot of things. He's accomplished a lot of things. Tank Davis hasn't fought him in half a decade. On top of that, Shakur Stevenson says, I'm not going to sit here. I want that fight. I'm trying to corner this dude. It doesn't look like he wants to fight me. So guess what? WBC petition. WBA petition. It's how a fighter behaves, right? Everybody's behaving like a champion and a fighter except the dude with the Reggie belt over there. And his fans seem to be the most rambunctious. Oh, we call the shots at 135. Oh, we beat anybody. We beat Willie Pep. We beat Henry Armstrong. Dig them up from the grave. Bring their ghosts to the ring. We'll beat them all. We'll beat them all. Remember, it's the Tank Davis theorem. Go sit at the kiddie table. Go to the kiddie table. Go back there. Sit in timeout. Grown folks are speaking. Real championship fights are happening. Grown-ups are behaving like grown-ups. Go back there with your purses, your trucker hats, and go sit at the kiddie table. Go back. Stop interrupting grown folk conversations. Or you can join the conversation, but you guys got to fight somebody. He can be petitioning. He can be behaving a certain way like Shakur Stevenson, but that's just not happening, right? It's not happening. So we give respect to the fighters who deserve that respect. And Shakur, Devin, Lomachenko, Prograis, Teofimo, those guys deserve that respect. That's the beautiful part for me is I respect as a boxing fan all those guys for giving me fights. I respect all those guys for saying, you know what? I want to fight for real belts. I want real championships. I want legacy. That's better than the dude giving the interview and they ask him, have you ever knocked on Floyd and Leonard and Al's door and said, I want this fight. I want to fight Devin Haney. I want to fight this guy. I want to fight that guy. No. Why would I do that? He's agnostic as to what he does with his career, Tank is. So the good thing about that is that could be a trademark of a fighter. No, I don't care about the business side. Just line me up. Line them up. I'll get in the ring. But it's not even that. The bad part about that is you can put that guy in the ring with anybody, literally. You could put that guy in the ring with Rolly Romero and he'll have no shame. He's agnostic to it. This is what it is. And hopefully they deviate from that and start fighting real fights. But what does the track record tell us, fellas? What's the track record tell us? The track record tells us he's going to continue on fighting the Eastside Cruises. Eastside Cruz, man, that dude right there. If ever a dude is living off of a one-hit wonder, this dude is living off of a close loss. Tank hurts his hand. Isak loses close, and Isak is going to live off of that loss forever. He's going to be telling his grandkids, I almost beat this guy named Gervonta Davis, who was one-handed in the fight. I almost beat him, though. I almost beat him. This dude has A-sided himself out of Ryan Garcia fight. He's A-siding the shit out of everybody. That dude's A-siding Shakur Stevenson. They're asking him about fighters, and he's being dismissive of fighters like he's the dude. And meanwhile, he's in there with another dude that's average again this weekend. And it's clear what's at play here, right? Is they want to keep him safe in case this Tank Davis rematch develops. And that's got to be at the top of their list right now, right? Isak Cruz rematch. But until you're going to fight somebody, dude, what is this? We want to talk about fighters who are arrogant. Exhibit A. But Inoue versus Fulton. I can see a narrative from a mile away. I can spot it. It's like a hurricane. A hurricane comes off the African coast. It starts off as a tropical wave. It turns into a tropical depression. It turns into a tropical storm. It turns into a hurricane. It could be a hurricane 1 through 5 as far as category, but I can spot it as a tropical wave. And I can spot these narratives popping off the coast as tropical waves. I can see them now because I know how these dudes work. I know how American boxing fans work. I know how the American boxing journalist works. The modern day one, anyway. And let me try to get to a couple of these comments real quick. Pitbull thinks he's the A side and ain't never sold one ticket. But that's another thing that's all over the place is you got fighters out here who are behaving like A sides who don't sell any tickets and their fans are acting like they're the A side. And in other cases, they're saying you have to sell tickets to be the A side. I don't know. I'm confused. Like I said, I'm just going to sit over here and play by everybody else's rules. That's just what I'm going to go with now. Do belts matter or do they not matter? Y'all got to let me know. Do they not matter? Let me know. Let me know. Should we be waiting around for vacant belts or should we not? Because if they don't matter, then maybe we shouldn't be waiting around for vacant belts. Maybe we should just go after the fight now. That's one case. Does drug testing matter or does it not? Do we care about drug testing? Do we not care about it? Who's the A side in what scenario? Should the A side be crossing the street to go fight on the B side network or not? Decide and let us know. Let us know. We'll be here waiting. Let us know. What's the new thing? What are we supposed to do? I'll be waiting. We're just going to go off of what everybody else says. Appreciate that, Nando. Eastside Cruz is arrogant as hell, too, if you hear him speak. Crazy coming from a loss. Yeah. His grandkids will say, who is Tank Davis like the rest of future generations need a real legacy to be remembered. Haney's options, Loma rematch, Tank, Shakur, T.O., Prograde, Matias. He can jump the gun at 140 if he likes because he's the 135 undisputed and has a position and leverage to demand those challenges at 140. He does. He does. My instincts tell me that it's going to be the Prograde fight. But I think a close second is a Lomachenko rematch. He always has that option. Most of us, I'd say 8 out of 10 of us feel Lomachenko won that fight. And I stand by that. I don't have to watch it with the sound off. At 71 degrees in the house. With classical music on. To know that Lomachenko won that fight. It just is what it is with me. But I still respect Devin for coming out of that little run undefeated and having a lot of options. He took that risk. Taylor made for him. Devin Haney has cojones. What a low standard some have. Oh, that's not nice, HLD. That's nice. We will talk about standards in the Pygmalion effect, but I don't think that applies to Devin Haney, HLD. I don't. I think you're being a little harsh. And I'll explain that further as time goes on. I'm actually a bit of a Tank fan. I like how he fights, but no credit for fights not made. And I also consider myself a fan of Tank Davis's style. And it's why I take it personally. Because that dude could be a star and he should be a star. Tank Davis should be a star. It doesn't help that he rides around in multiple states with no license, sitting on phone booths and booster seats so he can see over the steering wheel and hitting pregnant women and running off. That doesn't help, right? That doesn't help the star status. That's not going to be good. Doesn't help that he's hitting his baby mom at a charity event. And that's probably not the best place to do it, right? You probably want to act charitable at charity events. But the same thing, this dude has star qualities. He has star qualities. He does. He likes to knock dudes out. Every single punch he throws is a power punch. He knows how to set him up. And you're hiding this dude. And even when you're hiding him, he still comes out of that somewhat a star. That shows he has star qualities. He's being mismanaged big time. Big time. And it's one of the reasons Leonard hates me for pointing it out. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Let this dude fly. Let him fly. Just put him in there in tough fights. Who cares if he loses 1 or 2 of them? Who cares? Why do we got to protect our all? What is that? Let the dude go on fights. And it's what I tried to explain the other day is they want him to be Devin Haney so bad, but they're not going to say it. They want him to have all those straps so badly. So badly. They're so tired of him being called a Pinocchio champion. They want him to be a real boy. And they're frustrated that they have to wait this out via the vacant process because there's no doubt about it. They're behind the scenes. What they say privately doesn't match what they say publicly. I already know. And privately, they're frustrated. And privately, they're saying, why are we waiting around for vacant straps when we can just go after the guy? We can win that fight. And we can win that fight. And we can win that fight. The eye test tells us that. But it's the refusal to do it. And for years, the Tank fans aligned with Tank's management and Tank's power brokers and with Tank in that low risk, high reward. We've heard that a million times, right? We're robbing the bank. Easy fights, a lot of money. Brag about it openly. Easy fights, a lot of money. I'm barely breaking a sweat. And look at all the money I'm making. Beautiful. That's fine. But that doesn't align with legacy. And now it's coming to a point where they're tired of hearing people like us say these things and saying, look at how thin the resume is. They're tired of hearing it. So now the embarrassment of having a thin resume has now matched the risk of losing that all. It's now matched. Now they're willing to take that risk because they're so embarrassed that the resume is thin. And don't doubt me on this. Once again, don't doubt me. They see the other guys in the top 10 pound for pound. They see their resumes and then they see Tank's resume and they're like, ugh. And they're going to lie about it. They're going to lie about that. And they're going to smear other fighters, Tank's other peers, in order to bring them down to try to even the scoreboard. You see it with Lomachenko. You see it currently with Devin Haney. And that's why I'm not going to join this parade. I see some of my peers doing it and maybe tearing down Devin Haney because they didn't feel like he won the Lomachenko fight. Some guys will tear down Lomachenko because they don't like the criticism that Haney's getting, that he maybe didn't win the fight. Some guys will tear down Shakur. I'm not joining that parade that some of my peers have joined. I'm out. I respect all those guys. Why? Because they're simply giving me the fights and they're behaving like champions. They're behaving like real fighters. They want to fight each other. Teofimo moves up to 140, beats Josh Taylor, makes me eat crow again because I picked Josh Taylor. Respect to Teofimo Lopez. I'm not going to join. Teofimo Lopez seems like a crazy guy. Fair enough. But I'm telling you, I'm not picking against that guy in big fights anymore. I'm not. And I'm not joining this parade. I'm not going to call him undisputed either because he's not undisputed. But I'm not going to join this parade in which I help them to tear down fighters because I know where this is coming from. I know where it's coming from. I know where it's starting. Like I said, I can spot a tropical wave off the coast. I can spot it. And before you know it, these narratives become Category 5 hurricanes, and then it's impossible to deal with. For years, they got away with it with Canelo. For years, they did. And it's the phenomenon I've seen D-Style try to explain in that they were so used to Canelo, the Canelo side not pushing back at all. Canelo fans not pushing back. Content creators who like Canelo Alvarez not pushing back because they're like, oh, yeah, let the dudes eat their crayons in the back of the class and eventually they'll run out of crayons, right? Eventually this will run its course and we'll be fine, but it doesn't run its course. And then these narratives build and then people start believing that Canelo is ducking some Mexican monster. And it's the same playbook they ran before with the Kazakhstani monster and the Cuban monster with Lara. They ran the same playbook with Mayweather, and they ran the same playbook with Austin Trout. It's the same playbook over and over, and none of it's successful because the dude is still bigger than ever. But they got so used to, for years, just letting people let it go, seeing people let it go. And then it emboldens them. Because I'm told all the time, why are you talking about this? Why are you talking about just let it go? They're not important anyway. No. We can't do that. It's proven. They're emboldened now. They will say whatever takes gets clicks. It's the access game. Dudes don't have access to Naoya Inoue on the YTBC. American boxing media, it irks them. It kills them that a foreign fighter isn't coming to America and bowing down to them and fighting on American soil in order to prove to them so they can sit there with their pinkies up, drinking wine, with their American elitism, and having this guy try to prove to them that he's some sort of great fighter. It kills them. It destroys them. They don't like it. They don't like it one bit. They want that Asian dude to come over here, fight on a Tuesday morning. How dare you? I have to wake up at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday morning to watch this dude fight because he has the audacity to not come over here and prove to me that he's a great fighter. I wish he would fight earlier. I wish he'd make these dudes wake up at 2 a.m. Why? Because fuck them. That's why. That's why. Dudes in the UK. Shout out my guy, Bates the Kid. He's out there at 4 a.m. watching our fighters fight. How about we do it? The audacity, man. The elitism. You know one thing I don't see when foreign fighters come over here to fight on American soil, even if they're the A side? You know what I don't see? I don't see this United Nations of referees, judges. I don't see it. American judge, American judge, American referee. When our fighters go over there, in respect to our fighters, I love American fighters. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like a lot of our fans. I don't. And Keith Idek, BoxingScene.com, is reporting that the judges for Stephen Fulton versus Naoya Inoue fight Tuesday night in Tokyo are Canada's Richard Bloyan, Italy's Guido Cavalieri, and if ever there was an Italian name, it's Guido Cavalieri, and Spain's Manuel Palamo. So we've got a judge from Canada, we got a judge from Italy, we got a judge from Spain, and the referee is from Panama. So everyone's represented. So we have fairness, and it's inclusive for our fighter. The American fighter goes over there, bow down to him. The American fighter, look at the risk he's assuming. God forbid one of our fighters goes somewhere where he can make more money. The fight belongs in Japan. It does. It belongs in Japan. Stephen Fulton Jr., if he wanted to fight, he needed to go to Japan. End of story. When foreign fighters come here, they have to prove, bend over backwards. Anytime they're punched, oh my God, it's hit and don't get hit. The guy got punched? Oh my God. Exposed. Exposed. Our fighters go over there. It's Italian judge, Panamanian referee. And it's overpraised, if I'm being honest. And I'm guilty of this too. Devin Haney going to Australia. We're acting like Australia is the moon, fellas. We're acting like Devin Haney had to get in a space shuttle, strap on a spacesuit, and walk on the moon to go fight George Kambosos. But he goes, fights George Kambosos. Our American fans are telling him, you're crazy. You're crazy to go fight Kambosos in Australia. You'll never get a fair shake. It's too tough of a fight. You're going to sign a long-term deal with Bob Arum in the process. It's stupid. It's stupid. But we're acting like Australia is the moon. We're acting like Japan is the moon. Bro, it's Earth. It's Earth. And they're going to give them a United Nations of judges and referee to make sure we get a fair shake. I don't know, man. So I see this interview the other day, not an interview, a podcast with the dude from FloydHype.com. And ironically, it's coming from Floyd Hype, right? What a shock. What a shock. We're disparaging Asian fighters at FloydHype.com. What a shock. I've never seen that playbook. That one came out of left field. Whoa. Did not see that one coming. Same exact playbook. Same blueprint. Shocking. Shocking. And I don't know anything about the dude. He might be a good dude. I don't know any of his content. I don't know. I know what Floyd Hype is, though. I know what it is. And Vada. And the dude he's out there doing a video and saying, taking blood again. Blood, more blood. You want more blood? Blood. Vada testing, blood. And then the dude says, that's sus. That's sus. I know that dude. He's arrogant. He's arrogant. He's out in Japan getting the homecoming media, and he comes over here and he just doesn't treat the American media fair. The American media boxing, he's just not fair with us. He's not fair. It's tough. It's tough to get access to this guy. Oh, woe is me. Oh my God. Let me ask y'all a question in the chat. On a scale of 1 to 10, put 1 to 10. What is your trust in the American boxing media? 1 being the least amount of trust, 10 being the highest amount of trust. 1 to 10. What is your trust in the American boxing media? And when I say trust, what's your trust for them to deliver you a story on pretty much anything without some sort of an agenda attached to it? What is your trust in the BWAA, Boxing Writers Association of America, that they're on the up and up, that there's no agenda attached to anything they're doing, and they don't have a bias towards American fighters, and, you know, they're not out there circle jerking each other at awards and giving themselves, overpraising themselves. What is your trust in the American boxing media? And let's see what we got. HLD is a 5. Fair. So somewhere in the middle. Andre's a 0. 0. Lord Pinchke is a 0. CY is a 2. Andre's a 0. 2 Matadors a 1. Grant G is a -7. Hyphy's a -10. Jesus is a 4. Let's see. 7, they occasionally create flawed narratives and refuse to adjust. So Nando and HLD are been on the higher, medium to higher scale. They are all 5 at best. You must fact check everything, and that's good. That's fair. But, and then James Burrell says -1. They're all propagandists. They know where their bread is buttered. And HLD and Nando, what I would tell you is, we're not just talking about Floyd Hype or Boxing Scene or Dan Raphael or badlefthook.com. You have to throw in all of the YTBC channels as well. New media. So it's part of the media. And one of the interesting things that has happened on YouTube throughout the past 12 years, I've been here more often on, but more on the past year. And from 2009 to 2010, I was on. In between then, not so much. But one thing I've noticed, the big difference is when it was easier to make videos. When the iPhone came out and had access and was capable of doing things to upload videos right away, it gave this access to a lot of dudes who just don't care. And the good part of that is it gave dudes access. The bad part of that is with access comes a lot of the mouth breathing stuff, right? And over the past decade, I feel like the media in general has gotten even worse. I don't think there was this level of distrust to the American boxing media in the 80s, in the 90s, in the early 2000s. And I think the past decade, we've swerved off big time to something that is unrecognizable. And fighters give certain YouTube channels access, which builds up these YouTube channels. It's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy in which um, fighters are only given access to certain channels that are going to be agreeable with them. And then those channels know that they have to continue on that same course in order to keep access to that fighter and keep access to that camp. And they're pushing narratives that are just crazy. And I talk about this with Canelo all the time. The Canelo effect is they don't have access to Canelo. Canelo's not going out there and doing interviews with YouTube channels. He's just not. Naoya Inoue is not going out there and doing interviews with YouTube channels. So I've noticed that in the YTBC, you're going to get a lot of negative content towards these fighters. A lot, particularly with the American channels and the American media, because these fighters they're just not giving them access. They're not going to get on their knees and kiss these dudes' asses. And that's what I value about them. I value that Naoya Inoue is saying, no, I'm going to fight on a Tuesday morning in Japan. That's where the fight belongs. This is my 4th straight fight in Japan. I fought in America 3 times. I don't need to fight in America. Maybe I should grow my universal brand. And once again, you can develop that argument. And it's a good argument that maybe you should take a short-term hit and fight in America in order for a long-term gain. That'll be a net positive for him. It's an okay argument. But my pushback on that would be, okay, so I say the same thing when it comes to these American fighters. Maybe they should be fighting some more, perhaps. Maybe this dude should be taking a 25% split in order to get all the belts. And I'm told, no, you're crazy. You're crazy. Well, fair enough. Let's play that game then. It's crazy for Naoya Inoue to come to America and make much less money. It is. He can stay over there and make a ton of money in his home country, win fights, become a national star. And that's where lower weight class boxing is booming in Asia. It just is. In Japan in particular, it's the epicenter. So fight there. It's where the fight makes sense, right? But the American boxing media can't get out of their own way. There's a level of distrust, but they don't care. Why? Because they're getting their clicks. And they're leaving hardcore boxing fans behind. People like myself, people like people in the chat who just want to come around and get the news. Just break the news without an agenda. And we shouldn't have to search this hard to find dudes who are just going to give us a straight shot. Just shoot me straight on this. What do you think I should think on this? Just tell me what the story is. Maybe give your little opinion at the end. And how about that? But no, it's all got to be agenda driven. And it's clear where it's being slanted. So I see this dude do this podcast and calling Inoue an arrogant fighter, an arrogant person, and saying that it's sus, meaning suspect, for Inoue to say whatever he said that he didn't even say about VADA testing. Dude's telling you, showing you I'm taking VADA testing. It's what you want me to do, right? VADA testing. I'm doing it. And until there's a negative test, what am I supposed to do as a boxing consumer? What am I supposed to do? And the big issue here is the hypocritical part of it. It's, I post this on Twitter, and Dougie Fisher, Ring Magazine, says, well, where's the Charlo coverage? Is it suspect what the Charlos are doing with drug testing and inactivity? And by the way, man, like, this happens to me a lot. It happens to me a lot. I got dudes that will shoot me DMs about stories that break. And some of these dudes have more followers than me. I'm not talking about the boxing insiders, but you got dudes who with big channels, 4,000, 5,000 followers on Twitter, and they'll send it to me because they know I'm going to talk about it. Because they know I'm not worried about fighter interviews and the access, because I don't do fighter interviews besides, some smaller fighters. And they don't want to lose access to these fighters. So they don't want to be the one to talk about it. So they'll shoot it to me. And I got to go out. And one thing I'm told on the back channels as well, a lot, is one of the big reasons for inactivity is steroid abuse, performance enhancing drugs abuse, cycling on, cycling off. Is that suspect? And when I'm out there railing against inactivity, I'm told to shut up. Things are going great now. Why don't you just shut up? Inactivity is not that big of a problem. It's actually good for fighters, which is not. But I'm told this all the time. And then they'll call this dude suspect, but these dudes over here that are looking mighty suspect aren't suspect. It's the inconsistencies, it's the hypocrisy, and they're going to tear down fighters that they don't have access to. And the fighters they have access to, they're not, because they want to keep that access. That's the boxing media summed up. Summed up in one paragraph right there. That's the boxing media. They don't have access to Inoue. They don't like that this dude doesn't come over to America and kiss their ass. They don't like it. They want to sit back with their pinkies up on a Saturday night, listening to Mark Kriegel wax poetic about God knows what. And they want this dude to come to America to perform for them in order to decide if this dude is great or not, so he can get in their Hall of Fame. Respectfully, fuck off. A lot of things, when you grow older, a lot of things just start to crumble to you. A lot of these athletes, to me, when I was a kid, were bigger than life, and social media has done this too, in that you see how flawed a lot of these guys are. But the Hall of Fame at this point, to me, man, and it just is what it is. I got my own Hall of Fame. They're not gonna like me saying that, but I don't need to be in the BWAAAA to get a Hall of Fame vote. I got my own Hall of Fame. It is what it is. These dudes are sitting back with their votes, with their American elitism, and they're expecting foreign fighters to come over here and tap dance for them. And Inoue is not going to do that. He ain't going to do it. And don't doubt me on that. It burns them alive. But as far as the drug testing thing too, is I've been like this for a decade. Y'all decide what you're going to do and let us know. Decide what you're going to do and let us know. Because I'm so sick of this passive aggressive suspect thing. He's suspect. He's suspect. An Asian fighter climbing weight classes. Let's start that blueprint again at Floyd hype. He's suspect. He's suspect. Is it suspect? And by the way, once again, dudes, feed me this information so I could talk about it. And I got to tell them at this point, you talk about it. But they feed me this information. Floyd had a cozy relationship with USADA. Maybe sweep some positive tests under the rug. They won't talk about it. Is that suspect? I don't know. Is it suspect? It can't be, right? Because he was Nancy Reagan. You know, Floyd didn't care about drug testing until Manny started running through weight classes. Then all of a sudden, the dude's Nancy Reagan. And then all of a sudden, the American boxing media starts to run with the drug testing thing. And the reason I threw out there 1 to 10, what's your trust in the American boxing media, is, can we really trust these dudes to feed us information without an agenda? Can we really trust these dudes to give us information on what drug testing is? What are they testing for? What's a TR ratio? I can tell you these things, but I don't want to bore you to death because you don't care about it and I don't care about it. And one of the reasons I don't care about it is these dudes can't properly feed you the information. If somebody fails a drug test, they can't tell you what happened. They can't tell you what's going to happen. And we're talking about boxing. Are we going to trust boxing, of all sports, to run a proper drug testing system of fighters? So I came to the point where y'all let me know what you're going to do, and we'll just go by that. The only information I have to go off of is drug tests. Did he pass it or did he not? Oh, he passed it? Okay, well, fuck off then. Excuse my language. Like I said, I'm in a bad mood today. Respectfully, fuck off. He passed the drug test, right? Okay, so I don't want to hear the passive aggressive. No, it looks suspect. It looks sus. What looks suspect about it? They pushed the fight back. Okay, a lot of fighters do that. What else? What else you got? What else? They postponed the fight. Okay, who isn't postponing fights these days? He's on video saying blood, VADA testing. Okay, what else you got? Come on, let us know. What else you got? Don't be afraid. If you have real information, give it to us. Let us know. Is this guy failing drug tests or being swept under the rug? Let us know. Let us know. We're all ears. But he's passing drug tests. He's passed them all. What's the problem? What's the problem? It's suspect. What's suspect about it? In relation to his peers, what's suspect about what he's doing? And what it is we got a foreign fighter jumping weight classes. No, fuck that. No, go get him. Go get him. It's the Manny Pacquiao playbook all over. It's the asterisk building. It looks like he could beat one of our fighters. No. We can't have that. We can't have it. There's 68 major belts in boxing, and we own 22 of them. 22. So that's good. And you would say on the outside that looks good. But what you don't see is when you look deeper into the numbers, we've got 2 undisputed champions, right? 2. So that's 8 belts right there. That knocks us down to 14. And then we got Crawford and Spence at 147. That's another 4 belts. A lot of those belts are about to become vacant. And when you have something like that, and don't doubt me on this, you're going to have American media who relies on American fighters being successful, fighting for real belts, getting real trophies, having legacy. They're going to be panicked a little bit. 22 out of 68 belts. That's good. We're winning. We're still winning. Mexico's right behind us. I think they got 8 or 9. We're still winning. But I don't think a lot of people like where we're at. I just have a distrust for the American boxing media. And, I don't like what I'm seeing. I'm offended by such language from you. New boxing media has consistently made the Canelo a poster boy for steroids or Holyfield, Shane Mosley, and countless others. And this is the other thing, Nando, is with the drug testing thing. And it's let us know what you're going to do and stick by it. It's hard to take dudes seriously when you got the Boxing Writers Association of America voting in fighters who are drug cheats. And once again, I got no issue with that. In fact, I would vote them in myself. And they're in my personal Hall of Fame, which I said I have my own. And Barry Bonds, put him in. Mark McGuire, put him in. Sammy Sosa, put him in. Roger Clemens, put him in. I quite liked dudes hitting 73 home runs. I was excited. I'm here to be entertained. And I'm not naive to think that those dudes were the only ones cheating. I know it was across the board. I'm also not naive to think that this Yankee that hit however many home runs he hit last year, and they were saying he's the real champion, that he might not be on something. Right? But once again, it's agenda, and that's not only the boxing media, it's the media in general, and it can also be the baseball media. But the boxing media in particular, the problem they have is they're so inconsistent in that they're voting in drug cheats while at the same time going after certain fighters who they feel are suspect. They don't even have positive tests. And these dudes are voting in drug cheats. And they're going after fighters who don't even have positive tests. Make sense of that. Naoya Inoue doesn't have one positive test that I know of. None. I've asked. None. Okay. None. He postponed a fight. Countless fighters have postponed fights. Inactivity, it's a sign of possibly cycling on. How many of our fighters are inactive? Is that suspect? Let's call it out across the board. Why the inconsistency? Why am I going to trust a media that is telling me this thing is terrible? It's awful for the sport. It's bad for fighter safety. And then on this side, they're voting in fighters into the Hall of Fame, our greatest achievement in the sport, who did those things. That's weird. That's weird. Why would I trust those people for coverage on performance enhancing drugs and drug tests? They can't even tell me anything about a TR ratio. Nothing. They can't even properly educate the public on what drug testing is. What are they drug testing for? None of it. None of it. What's a cycle? How long is a cycle? What are these fighters out here doing? What are you hearing behind the scenes? Stop with the passive aggressive bullshit. If you're hearing things, tell us. Tell us what you're hearing. Don't do that thing where you're like, I'm hearing things. I'm hearing things. I'm not going to say what, but I'm hearing things. Let us know. Let us know what you're hearing. Stop with the passive aggressive bullshit in your asterisk building. They're building asterisks. That's what they're out here doing. If he beats Stephen Fulton Jr., no. He ain't natural. He ain't natural. No way. No way. Asian fighter going up weight classes? No. That ain't natural. That ain't natural. And Floyd hype of all websites. When I saw that, I was like, oh, yep, there it is. There it is. They're dusting off that old Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao thing. There it is. Yep. Who saw that one coming? We should be here talking about fights. But unfortunately, we're here so much unpacking bullshit, trying to tear down false narratives. You can spot this from a mile away, fellas. You can spot it. This is coming a week before the fight. These dudes are already building in excuses in case an American fighter goes to foreign soil and loses. This dude doesn't need excuses. Stephen Fulton Jr. is a great fighter. He's behaving like a fighter. I saw it when we learned a lot about Fulton Jr. When the news broke that he's moving up to 126 to fight Brandon Figueroa, Dan Rafael gave us the date. He gave us the site, all of it. Never retracted, but he gave it all to us. He's fighting in Minnesota. He's fighting on this date at this site. And then what happens? Fulton Jr. comes out the next day. No. Then a week later, we find out they're in negotiations with Inoue. And I'm like, oh, that's a real one right there. That's a real one. That's a fighter. That's a fighter. And that's the sad part about this is Fulton Jr. doesn't need those excuses. He doesn't. That's why I like Inoue. I saw Inoue the other day giving an interview in Japanese, which kills him, right? He's giving an interview. He said, why not just go for greatness? Of course I'm afraid of losing. Of course. But It's about legacy. It's about fighting the fights. You want to fight tough fights, right? Fulton Jr. He's saying, I'm not going to let this dude come up in my weight class. I'm not going to allow it. I'm the dude here. I'm that dude. Unfortunately, his advisory company didn't deliver him the MJ Akhmadaliev fight for Undisputed. But he still said, this dude coming up? No. I know how big of a fight that is, number one. I'm not going to be talked out of going over there. I'm not. I'm going over there to fight for a career high payday. I don't need any excuses. I'm going to go for greatness. It's the end of the story. This is my division. I'm not going to let this dude move up to 122 and pick off belts. I'm not on my watch. Not on my watch. And I respect that. The dude doesn't need excuses. He doesn't. He's a great fighter. Doesn't need excuses. He doesn't need you. It goes back to the Pygmalion effect, right? The Pygmalion effect, I saw it over the weekend, is an interesting thing to me because it explains a lot what's going on, not just in boxing, but in boxing in particular, is you're going to live up to the expectations that are built up around you. So if the people around you expect this level of behavior from you, that's what you're going to give them. That's what you're going to deliver to them. And if they expect this level of behavior from you, that's what you're going to deliver over time. It's why it's important to have good people around you, exceptional people around you, people who want the best for you and people who are also striving for greatness. But what I noticed is the American boxing media is so, and it goes back to what HLD said earlier about standards. Their standards for American fighters are so low. It's at an all-time low. Fight once a year. Yeah. If you fight once a year and you win that fight, you're fighter of the year. That's all you need to do. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to take 44 weeks of PTO. Of course. Nothing against unions, but that's the knock on unions is you're stuck at that level. It goes off of seniority. So why work hard? You can't outwork that guy to a title. Just sit back. Wait for a vacant belt. Fight once per year. Why not? Let's go do that. Our level of our expectations of our fighters are at an all-time low. And our expectations of foreign fighters are still high. So why are we surprised when we're seeing a growing number of foreign fighters become great and our fighters seem stagnant? Why is that shocking to us? You are going to, whether you like it or not, perform to the level of expectations of the people around you. Once again, it's why it's important to have exceptional people, aggressive people, assertive people around you who want to go for greatness and strive for greatness. It's because if you have those people around you, you're going to outperform people who have not so good people around them with low expectations. And our expectations of our fighters are at an all-time low. They just are. And our fighters are going to perform to those expectations. Fight once per year. You can still be fighter of the year. Fight once per year. It's fine. Yeah, you're 760 days off, but keep your belt. Keep it. You're going through a divorce. Just keep it. Yeah, you had that long layoff. So you know what you need? You know what you need since you had that long layoff? You need a tune-up. You're entitled to a tune-up. Look how low our expectations are. And our expectations of foreign fighters are different. They have to come over here and perform for us and prove to us that they're on the level of our fighters. So is it shocking that fighters from foreign countries are starting to perform better? And our fighters are performing not so much. When we look at the weight count, like I said, 22 belts. Some people say that's good. Some people say not so much. But between 135 and 154, we look great. Underneath 135 and above 154, we ain't shit. Sorry to break it to you. We need to raise our expectations of fighters, but the problem with that is when we do that, we're called anti-fighter. And is another one of these agenda-driven things is trying to get access to certain fighters. You're going to pretend and virtue signal that you are pro-fighter. Why are you speaking out against fighter pay and it being so high? And I just want shit to be sustainable, and I want it to be good for everybody across the board. And oh, by the way, like, shocking, what about my own interests as a boxing fan? And you're going to try to guilt me into speaking out for my own interests as a boxing fan? Once again, I'll say it again. My apologies. Fuck off. Sorry. I'm going to speak out for my own interests, and you're not going to shame me into not doing it. Our fighters need to step it up. Sack up. Step it the fuck up. How many foreign fighters have mental illness? I know I'm not supposed to say that. Sorry. My bad on that. But back to this podcast this dude was doing. Arrogance, VADA testing, all trigger words. And the dude might as well have been explaining himself. And once again, personally, I don't know him. He might be a good dude. I don't know. But arrogance, really? For an American media member to throw out the word arrogance? If ever there were a group of people who were arrogant, dude, I'm not going to go there. So it is what it is, man. It's asterisk building. And it's building in excuses in case Inoue runs through Fulton next week. And the tough part about this, the tough part of explaining this is I don't want to make it seem like I'm anti-Fulton, because I'm not. I'm a fan of the dude. All I'm saying is you dudes don't need to be out here building excuses for him. He's going for it. I haven't seen this dude once bring up VADA testing and arrogance. This dude's out there in Japan being treated like a king. Good for him. I'm happy for him. It's where the fight belonged. But God forbid a Japanese fighter be arrogant enough to fight in his own country, not give American media the access they want. It's almost funny to me, and it is funny to me, because I like seeing them get slighted. I do. There is that part of me. I like seeing them get slighted. And back to the drug testing thing, you dudes are so inconsistent that it's unrecognizable. Like, nobody knows what to do. We're just sitting here and we're like, give me my fight. Give me the build up to my fight. Tell me about CompuBox numbers. Tell me about betting odds, because I have all of those. And I'll be talking about all of those tomorrow. But why are we relying on dudes out here who aren't getting paid, like myself, just boxing fans, to give you just stats? Like, we should be deep diving into this fight. Instead, these dudes are talking about fucking VADA testing. They can't even tell you the difference between VADA and USADA and WADA and RUSADA, NADA, GADA, BLADA, FADA, DADA. They can't tell you the difference between any of them. They can't properly educate you. And we're supposed to care about that. Give me one fight. Let's talk about the fight. Who's going to win stylistically? Why is this a good matchup? Legacy defining. Why is this great? But we're sitting here unpacking their bullshit constantly. And that's why I have this level of distrust for our American boxing media. Adelaide Burke. He's normally a decent guy also. Maybe so. AJ is the second biggest cash cow, and he's likely going to fight 3 times this year, while Fury waited most of the year to fight an MMA guy. Yeah. Canceled. Let's see. Gigi Golovkin fought 3 to 4 times a year. Did really well for his popularity. That he did. Floyd failed the drug test for the Pacquiao fight. In addition to all his previous shady history of test levels, has all been swept under the rug. Canelo is the only athlete in any sport to submit themselves to hair follicle tests to prove their innocence. Yeah, that he did. And a lot of them don't report that. A lot of them don't report that. So, as far as the fight, legacy defining fight. And why is that? And I'm going to get deeper into this tomorrow, but I want to set the plate up right now. For Fulton Jr., I very much think this is a similar case to Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence. The thing about Errol Spence is I think he's a great modern welterweight. A great modern welterweight. But there's a difference between a great modern welterweight and just a special fighter. And I think Bud Crawford's a special fighter. And his resume is thin. I understand that. But he has achievements. He has an undisputed run. He's been on the Ring Magazine pound-for-pound rankings for the longest run currently. And I think it's up to 8 years, close to 9 years, something like that. So he has achievements. He has legacy. And he has a win against Sean Porter at welterweight. And this is his third weight class, I believe. And multi-division champion. With Errol Spence, and both of these guys need each other. Don't doubt me on that. But with Errol Spence, he very much needs to be undisputed because he's known as a welterweight. He's a career welterweight. And it took him, he got his first title, I believe it was Kell Brook for the IBF, and that was 2017. So he's been holding on to at least one belt for 5 years, and he still hasn't become undisputed, and he's had all access to all the fights on the board. And it took him 5 years to unify 3 belts. So that's a bit tough to swallow. It's not like he was ducked. It's not like a Golovkin situation. He had access to all the fights. And people will throw out injuries and all that stuff. Like I said, that's part of it. You can't be out there driving a $150 running into a brick wall. It's his bad. Detached retina, his bad. It's just, it's part of it. Injuries. It's about being durable, sustainable. That's part of it. It's part of being a great fighter. So he needs this win. It's legacy defining, but I would argue it's a special, smaller fighter in Bud Crawford against a great, bigger fighter. And there's a difference between great and special. And Errol Spence is going to have his opportunity to prove me wrong on that. And a lot of us wrong on that. It's the same to me with Inoue versus Fulton, but it's also different. It's the same in that I think Fulton is a great, bigger fighter. He's great. He is. I watched him fight Roman. He was great in that fight. He proved his greatness. He's a great fighter. Great lower weight class fighter. And Inoue is a special, smaller fighter. Special, smaller fighter. This guy's running through weight classes. He's winning big fights. He's knocking guys out in the process. Special, smaller fighters. But here's the difference. I know Bud Crawford's ceiling is higher than 147. I know it. And Bud Crawford started off at 135. Now he's at 147, so it's not as high of a leap. And he's a welterweight. He's been at welterweight, 8 fights now, 6 fights, and he's got all knockouts. He's moved to welterweight. He's knocked everybody out. The difference here is I don't know what Inoue's weight ceiling is. We could be watching this fight next Tuesday and be shocked that Inoue's weight ceiling is not 122. Much like we were shocked by Chocolatito's performance against Soren Vise. Much different opponent. Soren Vise is merciless. That guy will knock your head off your shoulders. Fulton Jr. is not that guy, but Fulton Jr. is also a bigger guy with great technical skill, great lateral movement, can fight off the ropes. He's a great fighter. Has everything but the power. There's that wild card that we could be watching this fight Tuesday morning, and Inoue's ceiling is not 122. Turns out it was 118. Possibly. Or possibly it is 122, but he's just facing a special fighter, much like Canelo at 175. I would argue Canelo can be competitive, be really good at 175. He just ran into the wrong guy in Dimitri Bivol. Maybe Stephen Fulton's just the wrong guy, and possibly Inoue could still compete at 122 and beat a Tapales for the other belts. But this is a wild card. I know Bud, the special smaller fighter, he's still a welterweight. He's a welterweight now. He's cemented there. And he could even move up to 154, I believe, and have success in that division. I don't know that about Inoue. I know he's special. I know that, but he's in his 5th weight class now. How high can he go? Is he going to have that Chocolatito moment where it's like, nope. Remember when you're talking about moving to 118, 122, 120? No. And this could be a pump the brakes moment for Naoya Inoue. It could be 122. That was too much. It could be. But if Naoya Inoue, and this is why the excuses in the asterisk building is happening. This is why they're already rolling out the excuses. If this guy moves to 122 and run through Stephen Fulton Jr., fellas, that's a generational talent. And to me, I would already argue he's there. But at that point, it's definitive. There is no question about it because Tapales isn't going to beat him. Now you got a guy who is 5th weight class. He's going to be undisputed in 2 of them. They can't take anything away from him at that point. There is no, oh my God, he's exposed. No. If he comes into this fight and beats Stephen Fulton Jr., who's a great fighter at 122, fellas, that's a generational fighter. Bam beats Inoue. No, I don't think so. I don't like Bam. Inoue wins by decision plus 240. The odds I have, and I'm going to deep dive into these tomorrow. Inoue decision plus 240. Inoue KO plus 100. So Inoue by KO is the most likely scenario according to the odds makers. Inoue by KO. Inoue by decision plus 240. Fulton by decision plus 430. Fulton KO is plus 1,000. So, and you can pretty much take that one off the board. Fulton's not going to stop Inoue. I just don't envision that. So he has a narrower pathway, but you can say that Fulton's undervalued here. You can very much say that as sitting at plus 280. You can say he's undervalued here. And to have Inoue, more likely scenario to say that he's going to knock Fulton out than win by decision. I'm sure Fulton and his team are sitting there feeling disrespected. I'm sure of it. I'm sure they're saying, I'm 122. I'm the guy. And he's coming up into my weight class. But I also got to give Inoue respect in this. Whose name is first on the poster board? It's Fulton Jr. What did Inoue give up? He's saying no Japanese judges, no Japanese referee. He's giving things up. This is how fighters behave, right? I'm watching Spence do an interview a couple of days ago, and look at all that stuff I had to give up to give Bud in the ring. You know, I had to give up. I got to flip a coin to see if I walk to the ring first or last. Who cares? I don't need to know that. Who cares? I don't have to hear whining and gnashing of teeth about Fulton Jr.'s name being first on the poster board. Fulton Jr. walking to the ring last. Who cares? I don't care who walks to the ring last, whose poster board is name on the name first. Who cares? And that's another thing I value about Inoue is whatever. Canelo, the same thing. Canelo's like Jermall, whatever. Fight whatever. 22-foot ring, Billy Joe Saunders, whatever. Give it to him. Give Caleb Plant a couple more million. Whatever. Just do the fight. Why is this so difficult to understand why we flock towards fighters, no matter where they come from, no matter the color of the skin, They just make it easy for us. We give them the money, they give us the fights. I don't have to hear the bickering. I don't have to hear the gnashing of teeth. So what bothers me, I think what instinctively bothers me about the dude saying the things he said the other day about the arrogance and the dude's arrogant or not, he's giving me my fights. He's not above doing that. So that's number one. And number two, like I said, this is escapism to me. So I very much am spiteful. I do not like when dudes try to make it more complex than it needs to be. Deliver me my fights on Friday and Saturday night on my TV. That's all I ask. Don't make it more complicated than that. Anything that gets in the way of that in this realm is my enemy. It's just that simple. This dude might be a nice guy. He might be. I don't know. He might be good other than this. I don't know. I don't consume his content. But what I'm saying is, why are you trying to get in the way with this VADA testing bullshit? Out here building narratives from left field. Building the very same narratives you guys built up when it came to Mayweather-Pacquiao that kept that fight away from us for 5.5, 6 years. Give me my fight. Don't make it more complex than it needs to be. Why are you trying to get in the way of us getting fights and talking about fights? It's escapism. It ain't that serious. It's boxing. It's a sport. We come here to be entertained. We come here to escape the real world. And you dudes bring your serious, passive-aggressive bullshit into this. Legacy. Dudes behaving like fighters. Arrogant or not. Behaving like fighters. One dude saying, nah, this is my division. We ain't doing that. You ain't coming up here. This is my division, my belts. I'll go to your territory and fight you. The other dude saying, you can be first on the poster board, walk last. I'm moving to your division. I'm taking your belts, whether you like it or not, and we're going to have it out. Have your Italian judge, have your Panamanian referee, have your whatever judge, have your United Nations of judges. I don't need them anyway. He's arrogant enough to say that. That's for sure. If Inoue is arrogant, I quite like his arrogance. I quite like it. Give me more of that. Arrogant enough to move up weight classes. Arrogant enough to have judges from wherever, God knows where. Arrogant enough to let that dude be first on the poster board, whatever. Walk last, whatever. I'm running through your weight class anyway, whether you like it or not. I like that arrogance. Give me more of that. I like it. Give me more of that arrogance. Let me read this real quick. Yep. But look, it is what it is. We have ourselves a fight. We got ourselves a legacy fight. The American media, as much as a lot of them tried to get in the way of the fight, as much as a lot of them like wanted Stephen Fulton Jr. to stay in America and not go to Japan, so they had to wake up at 6 a.m. to watch a fight. Because God forbid these dudes have to wake up at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday to watch a fight. God forbid. God forbid Devin Haney go to Australia to fight an Australian for his belts. God forbid. Like I said, these dudes act like Australia and Japan is the moon. There's no gravity over there. Put on your spacesuits and go try to fight these guys with a spacesuit on. And like I said, if there is arrogance here, it's coming from us, the American side. When the foreign fighters come over here, Hey, can I get some non-American judges? Fuck off. Oh, no. How about no? How about no? How about you're going to fight? You're going to tap dance for me. You're going to please me. And you're not going to get your American judges. How about that? You're going to get your American referee too. And you're going to get your American anti-foreign fighter bias stories as well. So how about that? How about that? And then when we go over there, non-American judge, or non-Japanese judge, non-Japanese judge, non-Japanese judge, non-Japanese referee. Because we don't want any bias. We don't want any foreign bias. Non-Australian judge, non-Australian judge, non-Australian judge, non-Australian referee. I love it. I love it. But this arrogance coming from Naoya Inoue, I need more of it. I need more of it. Canelo wanted to bring weight drain battle. I need more of it. Shout out my guy Steve Kemp. He's telling me stop Asian hate on Floyd hype. And it is, man. Like it's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw it. I was like, who's this? And they're telling me who it is. And I saw the watermark at the bottom. Yeah. And I'm hearing that this guy is a decent guy, by the way. I'm hearing that he's a good guy. So is no disrespect to him. Nothing personal, and none of this ever is, man. Like none of it ever is. I just like to see my fights, and I don't like when people try to get in the way of that. And I don't like when people try to make this more complex than it needs to be. All right, but when I did see Floyd hype at the bottom and the watermark, I was like, "Yep, there's that. There it is. There it is. I can see this developing from a mile away. As guys moving up weight classes, Asian dude moving up a weight class." We can't have it. We can't have it. It was the Pacquiao thing all over again. They're already rolling out the excuses. It is what it is. It is what it is. But this right here, man, I'm telling you, next week's going to be a special week. And I think the thing we need to look out for is special, smaller fighters versus bigger, great fighters. I've never felt that Errol Spence was an all-time great welterweight. I've never felt that he was an all-time great fighter. I've always felt he's a great current welterweight. And like I said, go back to Pygmalion effect and guys' expectations of fighters. Our expectation of American fighters are so low that I think a great fighter coming along will look like some sort of special all-time great fighter. And I don't think Spence is that. I think Bud's that. And I think he's going to finally have his opportunity to prove that. And part of him not getting big fights is him. Let's be honest. He's not fully absolved from this, but he's got his opportunity here. I think he's going to capitalize on it. And Errol Spence has his opportunity to prove us wrong. And the bigger wild card, although ironically, Inoue is a much bigger favorite than Bud Crawford. I think it's a bigger wild card going into that fight because I just don't know what Inoue's ceiling is as far as a weight. I don't know. But Bob's out there talking about him possibly going up to 126 to fight Robeisy Ramirez after 2 more fights in Japan. I'm assuming the 2 fights in Japan would be Stephen Fulton Jr. versus an all-Asian showdown versus Tapales for undisputed. And we got to find out what he's going to do at 122 first. And that's a big wild card here. And I'm intrigued by that fight, big time. And a lot of legacy on the line. This is big boy stuff. This is grown man business here. Grown man business. On that note, I'm out, fellas. I got to get rolling. See y'all tomorrow. God bless. Peace.